you're on the sunny side. My name's Joyce. Another work week, and we're looking through to see what may hit us by way of reality and comprehension as far as Nigerian problems go. It's so good to have you join radio again today. We're 24 hours a day, we're 7 days a week. And of course, this afternoon we have a guest joining in. We're going to be discussing electricity. After that, we're going to have to look at the updates we have now in the news around insecurity. Yeah, that particular situation, which we have hoped and prayed about to disappear, to go away. It has continued unabated. Now we even hear there's a new terrorist group in Nigeria. So we'll be talking about security after our energy conversation. His name is Peter Olalere, a partner and head of energy and natural resource practice at SPA, Jibade and Co., a foremost commercial law firm with offices in Lagos, Ibadan, and Abuja. He holds a degree in energy and natural resource law at the Queen's Mary University of London. And who better give us insights into what we could be dealing with as far as electricity goes than our guest joining us this afternoon. Hello, sir, and thank you very much for being on Nigeria Info this afternoon.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You're going to have to speak up a little bit because I'm not sure. I think your microphone. Can you hear me clearly? Is it better this way for you? Okay. So I think we'll give him a minute to just rectify something. Can you hear me?
Hello, good afternoon.
This
My
is
pleasure to join you, Joyce.
Thank you so much,
Good
sir.
to see you again.
Good to see you. You look healthy. You look well. And
Yeah, you look good yourself. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. So I'm believing that as Nigerian yourself, you are full aware of right now the electricity grid collapse. We don't even know exactly what to think because of the consistency by which the grid has collapsed. One would think, given the much investments in the sector, with a new administration knowing exactly what to do and at least trying to do something, that we would not experience this consistency in collapse. So what, in your view, is a good interpretation for what's happening? Can you hear me, sir?
Thank you, Joyce, for asking that very important question. There's no argument that a nation without constant electricity supply cannot achieve even the minutest of their objectives. Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Go ahead if you can hear me, sir.
Very well. So I believe that with the 2023 Electricity Act, which is a very significant improvement of the Electricity Reform Act that we had before, we're going to get light at the end of the tunnel. The 2023 Electricity Act has robust provisions in the law, right? If we're implemented, we're going to have light at the end of the tunnel. The implementation of that law as ongoing will eventually give us constant electricity. And the building blocks in the implementation of that law has to do with the deregulation or regionalization of the national grid. So the states now are having their own respective regulatory commission, in addition to the National Electric Regulatory Commission that we've had all along. So the states, and if you like, by extension, more investment will come into the sector in terms of generation, in terms of distribution, and even in the management of the system itself. what TCN now manages, the system operation, all of those will cascade down to the regional and state levels. That's ultimately where we're going, right? And the difficulties we are experiencing currently are the remnants of the issues that we've had, the legacy issues, right? So you have infrastructure that are not up to date, equipment that need overhauling. I mean, I was reading the CEO of TCN a while ago, and was speaking to when the grid collapsed and they're trying to restore it. In the course of restoring it, there will be even more collapses. All right. But when the restoration is complete, then you can have a stable system, you know. But until then, it is fit and it will be, you're going to continue to have a bit of this collapses from now and then. But when the system is eventually cascaded down, made to be regional as against just having only one national grid, then we're going to have some respite at that level.
Is there any determined time around which Nigerians can look to have a regional supply of electricity? Is it in the works? Is there investment to that regard? Are governments on state levels working towards achieving that? What do you know about the original possibility of the generation of electricity?
Yes, the state governors state governments are working on that already. I'm aware that Enugu State already has its own regulatory authority, Ekiti State, Rivers, a few others already are making their own laws to regulate the generation, the transmission, and the distribution of electricity within their own domain, right? And when that happens, once the investment begins to mature and get to the level where they can add to what is being distributed from the national grid, you are going to be having less and less stress on the national grid, and then there will be more and more improvements in the supply to the final consumer of electricity in Nigeria.
I said today, what is
quite a lot of investment around it.
Yeah, but what is the stress on the national grid? Is this a case of too much load on the national grid, or is this a case of distribution failure? What really is our electricity problem?
So there are issues across the spectrum, the whole spectrum, right?
If you can hear me, I'm with you.
Okay, so technically speaking, what we call collapse of grid is when there is a significant change in the voltage and frequency of the supply and demand. You know, electricity production, transmission, and distribution, it's not something you can store, right? So the distribution must match the generation. Mm-hmm. When there is a significant imbalance in the two, say for example, the generation out is significantly more than what is required on an ongoing basis, you are going to have that collapse. So some of the reasons for the present one that we have, I understand some of the discos rejected supply, right? Because their equipment cannot carry what was supplied to their network, and that happens sometimes when you have a fault on their distribution network, right? The one we had in October, there was an explosion at Jeba, so one of the generation units. So those are the issues they cut across. Sometimes it is in the course of transmission that you have issues, but most times, significant amount of time, you have issues with the final distributor, and those are the discos that you and I are closest to.
Okay. Now, is it possible that this problem will be going away anytime soon? I understand that we are trying to achieve available electricity for Nigerians as much as we can afford to generate for the average Nigerian. But is it possible that this issue is going to go away anytime soon? Or is it something we're going to have to live with for a while?
I can predict that we possibly closer to the resolution than we've ever been, because first step that should be taken has been taken, which is put the legal and regulatory framework in place. That has been done. You have the Electricity Act of 2023, which is the grand norm that will be. In fact, they had to amend the constitution to accommodate that law. So that is the grand norm from where individual investors, states cannot put down their money. And then by the time the investments begin to generate electricity, and then we're able to transmit and distribute that to businesses and homes and communities, then we're going to be having a significant improvement going forward. I have no doubt in my mind that with the further deregulation, particularly of the spectrum from generation to transmission to distribution, we're going to have improvement.
Okay. All right, so I want us to just segue a little bit. At the end of the tunnel. Well, we're looking forward to having light at the very end of the tunnel. But metering has been quite an issue. Well, some people are still waiting on the government for meters. Others, recently, there's this news report that says there's a slight increment on metering. Can you hear me, sir?
The issue of metering, it's been a recurrent one.
Please go ahead.
Oh, very well. So, yes, we have people that have been on the queue. Some have their replacement meter approved by the DISCO, but even a year after, they've not gotten the meter. I mean, straight away, it is the responsibility of the DISCOs to supply every customer prepaid meter, right? And then to replace it if it becomes obsolete. Mm-hmm. So ordinarily, no DISCO should be asking any consumer to buy their meter. But we are in a situation, and that we've been for a while, where the DISCOs complain about lack of capital to obtain the meters and then distribute as it should be. And then the regulator has tried to make several orders. We have the meter asset providers order. We have the national mass metering order. But even at that, the DISCOs are still asking people to come and pay for meter. Mm-hmm. I think there have been a lot of education on the part of the regulator, but most people are not, they're not fighting for their right enough, right? Okay. So you still have a situation where, the DISCOs are taking advantage of either the ignorance or unwillingness to fight of some customers to continue to charge them on estimated bills. Otherwise, we shouldn't be having estimated billings at this time again, as far as I'm concerned, But as I said the last time I was with you on this program, I said that even if it means paying for it, customers should make effort to get prepaid meter. It is the best thing, and it is the way of the future. The estimated billing has no scientific method, really, with which your usage and what you are supposed to pay can be measured. So we have issue with with the issue in the economy and the currency that has lost a lot of value. From where the DISCOs are getting the meters, the price will necessarily go up. So that part is not necessarily their fault. It's a question of everything within the economy going up in terms of cost, and no one can help it. But even when you pay for your prepaid meter, the DISCO is obliged to give you electricity supply in the equivalent of the amount you have paid on a gradual basis until that sum is exhausted. That is how it's supposed to be.
Okay. Well, so I think I want to talk about, since electricity was privatized, I mean, the difference before it became and after it became privatized, but also the investments. As of last year, October, there was a record of 7 trillion naira investment in the power sector after it was privatized. And here we are still without constant electricity, and even worse, Nigerians are beginning to complain about the cost of paying for electricity, particularly Band A users. Many Nigerians are under the weight of the difficulty to pay for electricity. So I think I'm asking you a two-in-one question here. The one is the investments that have been put into electricity and what that has yielded for us, and the fact that Nigerians are complaining about the cost of being on Band A.
The cost of electricity supply to every consumer must necessarily go up in tandem with the way every other item of goods and services have gone up, right? You know, as we say on the street, when the dollar goes up, everything goes up with it. So I believe that even before the Naira lost a lot of value, the Band A, Band B, Band C, D, and E had already kicked in. And then the kilowatt per hour supply of electricity was already at 225 for the customers on Band A, right? My personal view really is that, yes, the cost of Band A is expensive, but if the DISCO is able to supply as they have signed on to, they are able to supply the 20 hours a day electricity, I'm sure that all things considered, 225 naira per kilowatt hour will eventually not be so much, right?
No, I would like to disagree with you. Nigerians are really complaining about how much they pay a month. Now, you also have to consider the fact that income hasn't increased. And so I think on one hand, you think as long as the electricity is available, then there is justification for the cost. But those who are consuming electricity cannot afford the cost because of their shrinking disposable income.
So this is the thing, right? You know, at the point that Band A payments kicked in, the federal government was trying to remove subsidy, total subsidy, because federal government has been subsidizing the supply of electricity to the final consumers, right? So it was in an attempt to get a lot of more investors. Let's face it, we need a lot more investment in that sector if we are going to ever have a stable supply. So government removed subsidy from Band A customers, meaning they are paying the actual cost. And if you look at that time and now, you realize that our currency has even lost more value, right? To the extent that there has not been any further increase. I'm speaking within that parameter. Yeah, I'm aware. It's tough for everybody. In fact, the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria went to court against that Band A, Band B thing in Abuja. You know, but I just read a while ago the case was dismissed for being premature. You know, so the system will have to balance it, right, from the angle of the supplier and the consumer, right? So it's tough.
Okay.
But if the DISCOs can get us the electricity supply to our businesses and homes, at the end of the day, when we do the maths, we realize that it might just not be too much.
Okay.
I mean, just on a lighter note, last Saturday I was at a filling station, and a fashion designer came to buy phone. She bought 20,000 naira in the morning, and then she came to buy 20,000 naira in the evening for a day's work. That's 40,000. And I was wondering how much we should charge our customers. But had it been that fashion designer had the electricity supply from the main grid, even if it is 22-25, right? At the end of the day, it will pay into not too much.
Okay.
The major problem really is that we still have a significant number of people on estimated billing. That really is the issue that I wish would be tackled very seriously, so that we reduce the number of customers on estimated billing as drastically as possible. Let people pay for what they use, right?
Yeah.
And then let the regulator monitor to ensure that we have regular supply.
Okay, and this is just to truly get a picture of your last point, which you were trying to make. Are you saying that Nigerians who are on band B downwards are still enjoying subsidy from the government, electricity subsidy?
Very correct. That's the position.
Okay.
Even though that subsidy had also been reduced a bit, you remember there was an adjustment to the tariff last year.
Okay, so I was asking about privatization. I want to know whether are we better off with privatization, and I want you to look at it as not as an investor, but as a Nigerian who needs supply, who would like to pay a fair amount for electricity. And there's also this issue where one would say, how democratized is this electricity supply if we are segregating between those who should have 20 hours electricity and those who should have 12 hours electricity? It doesn't appear fair. But again, I think the judgment is being made on disposable income. And that can take you right back to the economy, how the economy may be advantageous to others and disadvantageous to others. The privatization, really, is it long-term beneficial to us, or does there need to be a kind of restructuring, redirecting of where our visions or our dream as a nation and having electricity should be going?
Okay, so I've no doubt in my mind that we will be better off eventually.
But we're not as of today.
Privatization.
But we're not really better off today from privatization.
Yeah, at this moment in time, it may appear like it, right? Particularly if you're asking people to pay more and they are not having the service. But ultimately, some of these services are too important to continue to live in the hands of government alone, right? I'm not going to argue about the fact that it may appear that we are not better today than we were at the point of, allowing the discourse to be taken over by the Gencos too, by the private investors. But it's good that we started that journey, right? At the end of the day, we will be better for it. If you look at the telecommunications sector, you realize we eventually are better. By the time this deregulation goes further and the transmission and system operation goes to the hand of private sector investors too, we're going to have a better service. There's no doubt that private investment is what drives these important sectors across the globe, seriously. So the private sector knows how to manage these businesses a lot better than the government can ever attempt to do. The reason why it appears we are not making so much progress is because government still has its hand in the transmission, right? And then one of the areas of let down has always been in that transmission. We say that the transmission capacity is X, right, at any point in time. And even sometimes when the discourse can take more, the transmission cannot wheel the power from the generation locations to the transmission locations.
Okay.
So with the privatization, private investment coming in, state government getting involved, then federal government continue to invest, we're going to have a better sector eventually.
Okay. I want to quickly go off on a break, a very, very short break. When we return, I'll be asking you the final question, which is about the democratization of electricity, where there would be no bans. Every Nigerian would have electricity 24 hours a day. I want you to tell us the possibility and how close we are to that possibility. But you would have an opportunity to give an answer to that question when we return from this break. Okay. Thank you so much. Sir, Lakers, we're going to quickly run off on a very short break. We'll be right back. And the last question you'll get an answer to when we return. My name is Joyce. This is 99.3. We are Nigeria Info.
What's that station again?
Oh yeah, Demo, come back. Here's one thing you need to know about yourself. So like here we talk.
Yep.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Street Foods Nigeria returns with a power package season focused on nutrition, hygiene, promotion of tourism, and cultural heritage of Nigeria. Watch regular street food vendors transform to becoming extraordinary food ambassadors that brings foreign direct investments under the mentorship of celebrity judges like Chef T, Diary of a Kitchen Lover, Okbayemi Famakin Kunleremi, the host with the most, Eniolua, and other guest judges. Catch Street Foods Nigeria on YouTube at Foodbay TV. Turn on your notification to be the first to see it. Street Foods Nigeria Season 5 is proudly brought to you by Foodbay TV in collaboration with Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Social Development. Championed by Golden Penny. Sponsored by Calypso. Refreshed by Mortina and Tiger Beer. Supported by Hospitality Business School, Prism Healthcare, and Palladium Farms. Lagos, get ready for a powerful year-end edition of The Round Table. This is where Nigeria's biggest radio voices, your favorite top OAPs on Nigeria Info FM, come together to dissect the most impactful stories of 2024.
The cost of electricity is going to make Nigerians more sick.
As much as the governor is saying that this is all about resource control.
You see, this public statement, of course, reflects the Nigerian mentality.
And so here we have a Nigeria where one day you speak about fuel price, the next day you must consider diesel price.
Most of these governors are just there. They have no idea.
From seismic economic shifts to explosive social movements, nothing is off the table.
For 4 or 5 weeks, it was one bad story or the other.
You're beginning to wonder what's happening with government agencies. Who is ensuring that the individuals...
Why would the minister walk out of you? The same minister will resume to the same office the following day.
Join us for an intense conversation, bold insights, and moments that define this unforgettable year. The Round Table. Monday, November 25th at 9 a.m. It's the ultimate gathering of Nigeria's most influential voices, all bringing their sharpest takes on stories that matter. The Round Table. Don't miss this dramatic wrap-up on Nigeria Info FM, where 2024's biggest stories come to life. The Round Table. Let's talk. We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
We're back. 99.3 Nigeria Info. So I'm holding my guest down for about a few more minutes, but he has 2 minutes to respond to the possible democratization of electricity where all men, high and low, have 24 hours electricity. So, sir, what's the possibility of that? And how soon? Go ahead if you can hear me.
So, as to timeline, when we are likely to have or to get to that El Dorado situation, we'll be able to turn on our lights and then we'll not be worried about. One cannot speak to that point, right? Electricity generation, distribution, transmission and distribution, slightly different from what you have in the telco, where from production to the supply to the final consumer, one company can do it, right? So in nations where you have multiple investors across the dynamics of the investments in the electricity sector, you could change your supplier the way we change MTN to Airtel, but that position is still a long way from this location, right?
Okay.
But even if we do not get to that place soon, what I can what I can predict from where I'm sitting now is that we are going to have continuous improvement with the Electricity Act of 2023, with the consumer regulation that came out immediately before the Electricity Act was enacted, with the amendment of the Constitution to accommodate even the enactment of that law. You now have the major inhibition to starting the journey removed.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to please give us a very short moment. We want to quickly report the news update. We'll be right back. Lagos.
Because the news never stops, we never stop.
An 18-year-old boy has reportedly stabbed a 28-year-old commercial sex worker.
Federal authorities seek clemency for 12 Nigerians on death row in Indonesia.
The Lagos State Governor Wende Sanwo-Olu requested for the soldiers accused of shooting a protesters at Lekki.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
The news update on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. You're listening to the news update this hour. State governments now have until the 1st of December to implement the new minimum wage. The Nigeria Labour Congress issued the ultimatum on Sunday in a communique signed by its president, Joyce Onyemuwa, at the end of its National Executive Council meeting held in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Onyemuwa said workers in affected states are finding it difficult to sustain themselves given the worsening state of the economy. He said this in view of the alleged delay by some states to implement the new minimum wage. The NLC president called on the government to embark on a wage review and immediately implement concrete interventions that would relieve the suffering of Nigerians. Meanwhile, the Transmission Company of Nigeria says it is concerned about the rising number of cases of vandalism targeting transmission lines and towers across the country. The company warns that the trend is severely disrupting the nation's power grid and infrastructure. The TCN's General Manager Public Affairs, Ndidimba, said this while reacting to the destruction of the 330 kV Lokoja-Gwagwalada transmission line 1. The company added that 2 spans of aluminum conductors from the line were stolen, with efforts underway to replace them. The company further appealed to members of host communities to work with the TCN and security operatives to combat this threat. Major energy marketers associations say its estimated cost of landing of petrol dropped by 20.34% to 971 naira 57 kobo per litre over the past 3 months. The decline in landing costs on Nigeria's shores indicated an equal reduction in global market fluctuations and supply chain factors. The decline should also result in an equal reduction in the price of petrol in the country. According to data released by the association, oil marketers imported petrol at 1,219 naira per litre at a Brent crude oil price benchmark of $80.72 per barrel and at an exchange rate of 1,611 naira per dollar in August. The document also showed that the landing cost stood at 945 naira 63 kobo in September and 903 naira 64 kobo in October. And the total debt of the 36 states in Nigeria now stands at 11.47 trillion, at least as of June 30th this year. And this is despite allocations by the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee and their respective internally generated revenues. An analysis of data from the public debt reports released by the Debt Management Office said the rise was 14.57% higher than the 10 trillion naira recorded in December 2023. External debt for the states and the Federal Capital Territory also climbed from $4.61 billion to $4.89 billion within the period under review. Lagos, that's the news update this hour. You are listening to The Sunny Side with Joyce on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
It's not just the news or information.
It is more than you ask for.
What is our fee? When Lagos State says this organization is meant to help us out, and the people working there are not helping us out.
You have a situation where people say it's normal that if your husband doesn't beat you, then he doesn't love you.
Where madness seems to be normalized, you will become mad.
And more of the rush you just just can't stop.
It's the station for more talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info.
.3 Nigeria Info. The sunny side, welcome if you have just tuned in. It's so good to have you be a part of our conversation this afternoon. Okay, well, so our guest is still with us, and we're just going to have him for a few more moments. His name is Mr. Peter Olaoye Olalere, a partner and head energy and natural resource practice at SPA Ajibade & Co. I also think I'm going to quickly capture a few messages. I think these are listening Nigerians who would like for our guests to help them understand if there's anything that can be done about their plight. So, sir, I think I want to quickly... Someone said that he paid for... Good afternoon, my name is Samson from Ikorodu. I paid for prepaid meters since February the 12th till today. They never respond to me. I had sent many emails to Ikeja Electric, NERC, FCCPC, all no response. Thank you. And then... Sir, someone is sending a message. It's more a question because he wants your reaction to it. He says, it is... not fair that I am forced to be on Band A. I think it should be structured as a matter of choice and ability to pay. Right now, the hotel where I work is on the verge of close up because sales is not measuring up to the NEPA bills. This policy is really killing and very unfair on the poor masses, in all honesty. I would love your reaction to both questions if necessary, or both statements.
First of all, the complaints not been addressed timeously. I don't know whether the person that's sending that message copied in the regulator, that is the national NEC.
Yeah.
Whether NEC was copied in.
Yes, NEC was copied.
Because each time you copy in NEC, the disco tend to attend to you quicker.
Okay, so he said he did. Electric.
So you should just press folder, copy NEC in your email, and they will respond.
Well, I guess he has to do it again because he said this is since February the 12th. And according to him, he says, I wrote an email to Ikeja Electric, NERC, FCCPC, all no response. So should he write them again?
Okay. So for the people that want replacement of their old meters or new meter, they paid, they've not been supplied. Again, it is the regulator that will be able to bring the necessary pressure to bear on the discos to ensure that they supply you. Okay. So don't be tired. Copy in FCCPC, copy in the NEC, and then I'm aware that they are up to their game in recent time.
Okay.
Because those organizations want the customers to get the best of services.
Okay.
That is the reason why they are in place.
Okay. All right. And what about the supposition that Band A is imposed on Nigerians? And then the gentleman here says, the hotel where I work is on the verge of closing up because sales is not measuring up to the NEPA bills. And he says this policy is really killing and very unfair on the poor masses, in all honesty. The imposition of Band A on people based off of their area or their location.
So the philosophy behind demarcating certain areas as Band A is not necessarily to discriminate against people, but it is to move people from subsidy situation to lack of subsidy situation, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the criteria for demarcating locations as Band A, B, C, or D, or E has got to do with who are the people that are better able to bear the lack of subsidy, right? But ultimately, everybody will be moved to that Band A because that is the plan. The plan is that you remove the subsidy gradually, and then you get everybody to the position where they will now be able to pay for their,
electricity consumption.
They will be able to pay for their electricity supply. Mm-hmm. I mean, as I said earlier, the man in Abuja, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, he went to court in respect of that, and the court threw away the case. So I will advise that people explore all the dispute resolution mechanism that has been embedded in the system, which is to send in your complaints to the DISCO, send it to the consumer forum of your area. That means you are copying NEC, you are copying FCCPC, and then they will resolve it. Document your complaints so that when they make the resolution, if the DISCO needs to pay you compensation, they will be ordered to do so. You know, so before anybody approaches the court, if eventually those issues aren't resolved through the mechanism that have been embedded in the law and regulation, then once you have gone through it, or if it's not resolved, then you can go to court at that point.
Okay.
And then you are going to get compensation. You know, but the name of the game is document.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, document. Ensure that you have documentation of your usage per period, per time, of your payments for supply of meter that has not been supplied. Because from the moment they approve your meter and it's supposed to be installed, they are not supposed to be able to bill you on estimated billing from that moment. So if they are billing you, just document it.
Okay.
And then you get your money back. You should be able to get your money back.
Okay, so what about the fact that, so there's an ethical, I don't know if the right word is ethics here, but there is like a moral responsibility, and let's call it a moral duty on the side of the government to the people. So the message here, I have a message here where a man is saying that because they're on Band A, their business is on the verge of closing down. 2 weeks ago, I had a doctor here on radio who said that 50% of private clinics were on the verge of closing down because of the cost of electricity. So as much as the government is working to, I guess, give every Nigerian electricity for a fee, the disposable income, the businesses do not permit people to pay the cost of this electricity. So I don't know what your response can be to that, but it does quite appear that the complaint of the Nigerian people in their inability to afford electricity needs to come to the front burner.
So, you know, electricity will cost. I'm not too sure which one we really want, because if we are going to have supply, we're going to pay. Right? So the cost of production, generation, transmission, and distribution is not cheap. The thing I think is about government that says it can no longer pay subsidy. We are all involved in this. In my office, I know how much we now pay because we're on band here as well. We pay a huge sum of money. You know, so it means the cost of production has gone up for every business, particularly everyone that is on band A. The cost of services have gone up, and it will eventually will have to affect everyone who accesses the services of the organization too. You know, I think that is the way it will be eventually, because government can no longer, obviously, cannot continue to subsidize for everybody.
Okay. I want to thank you really for your time and the answers to the questions you've given us. The phone lines have been ringing. I think a few people have a few questions. If you would do us the honors of giving at least 2 Nigerian callers just an opportunity to ask you some questions that they may have regarding their electricity concern. Thank you. Hello, Nigeria Info. Please just go ahead straightforwardly. Ask me your question.
So be calling from Ikeja.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask, at this time, I don't know his position in what we're saying. You see, I don't know his position. Well, most of us that have meter that over 15 years that they want to change on 14th of this month.
Yeah.
You see, what do we do? Because I'm not supposed to pay for another meter. I've paid for meter. But is it not their responsibility to change my meter for me? Because they should not allow Nigerians to start reacting negatively, because everybody's angry. We are aggressive. The man might come to my house to do, and I will knock him on the ground.
All right, okay. Thank you so much for calling. So, sir, he's saying that he has paid for a meter, that they have a plan and a deadline to change the old meters with the new ones. So are Nigerians supposed to pay for this change? This caller is saying he's not supposed to pay for a new meter, particularly because the discos are trying to upgrade. So what's your reaction to that?
So it is the responsibility of the discos by the law and by the service service level agreement they signed when the discos were handed over to. It is their remit to provide, maintain, and replace obsolete meter. But the discos have made very strong case to the regulator, and that is why the regulator, by the order on mass meter, the MAP and the national mass metering system order allows people to pay for the meter, right? But they are supposed to use the amount you are paying to give you supply eventually. But more importantly, right?
Yeah.
When you have paid for meter or they have asked you to come and replace your meter, document the date they take the old one, right? With the document, I mean the record of how much usage you were using. The amount they will be charging you, they will be billing you per month should fall within the range of what you'll be using when the meter is there.
Okay.
Because the law does not even allow them to take your meter away before replacing it.
Okay. So between that,
then make your complaint to the appropriate forum, and then it will be resolved.
So people should know that they should be changing their meters for free, but for whatever economic factors, MAP allows the Nigerian consumer pay for a new meter. Okay, but then are you saying that the payment for the new meter is supposed to be converted to electricity supply?
Tariff for you is supposed to be converted to credit for you in the future.
So
they will use it to give you electricity.
Okay, so now we know that. And while you're getting a new meter, it's not an opportunity for them to increase the cost of what you were paying before.
No. No consumer should take that from any disco, right? Okay. People have suffered enough, right? They just come and take your meter away and then push you to an estimated billing. Don't accept that. The law does not allow them to do that.
Okay. All right. So we have to go to the public. Hello, Nigeria Info. Your name, real quick, your question?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Felix.
Welcome, Felix.
Yes, thank you for a good job. I heard your guys online.
Go ahead.
I have a question to ask. Although most of us who have paid down before, now we know that SLA must have affected it. Yeah. Why do they open portal for us to pay the current charge to add to what we have paid before, so they can supply the meter? They just transfer all of us to meter billing.
When did you pay for meter, please?
I paid March this year.
Okay, and the issue now is you haven't gotten the meter. What's the problem?
I haven't got meter. That time the three-phase meter was 156,000, and then we paid.
Okay.
They have not supplied us. We know that SLA must have affected it.
Okay.
Why don't they open portal for us to pay to add the current amount to it for us to can supply us?
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate. Thank you. Yeah, it's also possible that they don't even have the meters on ground. Hello, Nigeria Info. Welcome, real quick. Your question.
Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon to you. Thank you.
I want to ask your guest, what efforts is he, doing to make impact on this Nigeria without having light morning, afternoon, night upon you? Even if you are in band A, band B, band C, there is no light anywhere. If Joy can open her line now, you said the whole Nigeria will call to say that there is no light. Yeah. What efforts are you? Because talk is too much. We want people to do to walk the talk, not talk. Please.
Okay, thank you so much for calling. So she's asking what the government is doing to ensure that there's electricity for Nigerians, because many Nigerians lately have been complaining of lack of electricity. Hello, welcome, Nigeria Info, real quick.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, please do us a favor. The volume, please. Hello, Nigeria Info. Make it back. Sorry, I lost you. So sorry I lost you. Hello, Nigeria Info. You're on the sunny side. You're my final caller because I have to let my guest go. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Yeah, please. My name is Dario. I'm calling from Seoul.
Good.
Okay, please. I'm having issues with my prepaid meter.
Okay.
After giving me the prepaid meter, I've been unable to load it for the first time for a very long time now.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know the challenge. They told me they are doing upgrading.
Upgrading. Are you using an old meter or a new meter?
A new meter that was just given to my place.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you calling in.
Yeah.
Well, sir, look, I don't think I can honestly, in good conscience, have you here to attend to all the questions we have on our telephone lines. But at least I've picked a few, and one is, she thinks the government is not doing enough to ensure that Nigerians have electricity. That's one. This gentleman is saying that his meter has an issue. He is unable to recharge. He wants to know what process is and who to approach in order for him to find solution to his problem.
So for the customer that is unable to recharge his meter that is relatively new, make your complaint to the DISCO, copy NEC, copy FCC PC.
Okay.
I believe they will resolve it, right? Once you bring in their regulator, they are always on their case until that there's a resolution. As to whether federal government of Nigeria is doing enough, I would give them pass mark for the courage to move the regulation to the level that the Electricity Act of 2023 has been passed, right? So it's not all the solution won't come from the federal government. Now, some of the solutions will come from the state governments.
Okay.
Right? And other private investors. So when we get to the point where the national grid becomes less, everybody is no longer as dependent on the national grid as we were, we are going to begin to see improvements.
All right.
Right? So government is making a lot of investments, if you look at it, but like every government project, sometimes it takes some time to mature. Some are sabotaged sometimes, and then you cannot, you can't afford all of that 100%. But government is making efforts.
All right.
Government is making efforts.
Well,
and with the involvement of state governments, private investors, we are going to have light at the end of it.
Well, I'm hoping to have you back when we...
Let's keep hope alive, Nigeria.
Well, that's the thing. It's the hope people are running out of. I want to thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I'm hoping that the next time I have you here, we have really done something about this Band A. Because I'm even having a protest group join me on radio on Wednesday because they're not only on Band A, but they don't have electricity. So I wish you would even have been around to hear what their complaints are, because maybe you may be able to help in some sense. But if you're not, then I would probably even have to contact you because I would like to give them some answers to their questions when they show up here on Wednesday. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Lagos, we are off on a break. We will be right back here on the sunny side. My name is Joyce. Our guest has been Mr. Peter. He's been here before, and I guess he would afford you maybe not all the answers to the questions that you have. Remember that he is a citizen and he's working within the sector to afford the public some comprehension of how the sector works, what your rights are, who you should go to when you have a problem, and where. But I would hope that soon enough we can have the government speak directly to your problems, particularly issues of cost, availability, supply of meters, and even electricity itself. I think the next 1 year, the biggest problem we're going to have is this Band A, because I think Nigerians I think it's the businesses that are suffering being on Band A, and how their the income on the business can't quite afford or fully cater to the cost of electricity. Well, this is a moving story. It's a moving development. We're following through on Nigeria Info, and as soon as we have information, when we have it, we promise to furnish you. We're off on a break. We'll be right back. My name's Joyce.
What's that station again?
No. Here's one thing you need to know about yourself. So like here we did talk.
Yep, bullseye. That's the one.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.